All right. We can never figure this out.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Witwer. Sam, thank you so much for taking time out to come here. We really appreciate it. It's great to be able to actually meet you. I've been a fan of yours for years, even though I didn't realize it, knowing. I'm getting ahead of myself. Just playing video games with you in it, listening to your voice, and now actually just being able to sit here and talk to you for a little bit. Thank you very much for coming out. It's a privilege.
Well, thank you. Is this working?
There we go.
Okay.
It's working now. So, I guess just to get started a little bit, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you originally from?
Originally from Chicago, Illinois, and live in Los Angeles now, and yeah, all accidental. Everything has been very accidental.
Just kind of stumbled your way through Hollywood and into success.
Sort of, yeah. That's kind of how it works.
So now, from what I understand, you had started kind of at a young age doing commercials and studying acting. Is that correct, or is the internet leading me wrong?
I started at a young age doing commercial.
Commercial, okay.
No commercials.
No commercial, just the one.
My first gig was a Chicago Bulls commercial in which they needed a bunch of ninjas.
As you do for a basketball team.
Yes, as you exactly. Chicago Bulls, we need a bunch of ninjas. So I showed up and pretended like I knew martial arts and got the job of one of the ninjas. And then I went to some giant house somewhere in Chicago. That
doesn't sound sketchy at all.
No. And then we shot this ninja thing where we were jumping around all this expensive furniture in some rich person's house. They're like completely risking breaking it.
Did a 12-year-old write this commercial?
I didn't know what the hell was going on. All I know is that it took them something like 6 months to pay me.
Oh my God.
Welcome to Chicago commercial scene.
Okay, well there you go.
And and by the way, that's normal. They somehow don't have to pay you. They can find the money like 6 months later. And
is that like a ninja clause? Like if you pay a ninja, it's
Yes.
hard to see you because you're a ninja, so it's hard to find the money.
That's it.
Is that how it works?
That's how it works, yeah.
We're learning things here today, folks. It's a good thing you showed up.
It's so much better in Los Angeles. Yeah.
So how did you get into acting proper? Like what was this something that your parents kind of pushed you into, or is this something that you really wanted to do?
They did it. It's all them.
It's all 100%
Their fault.
them. Yeah. Okay.
Basically, they wanted me to go to college. I didn't know what the hell I would go to college for. And they said, well, what about, you do school plays, and what about acting? I'm like, I don't want to be an actor. They're like, well, great, go audition for Juilliard. I'm like, okay. So I auditioned for Juilliard and got in. And then next thing I know, I was in New York training to be an actor. And then later decided, oh, this is probably a good idea. I should probably do this. But at the time, I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
So is the title of your memoir going to be Sam Witwer, I Accidentally Juilliard?
Yes. If Juilliard is a verb.
It's a verb, exactly.
Yeah.
That's how we're also changing the English language here, folks.
Doesn't matter.
We're getting things done. That's how these Q&As go.
We are getting things done.
So when did acting really click for you then? Since it was something that you just kind of waded your way into. Like when did you realize, okay, this is something that I'm passionate about playing characters and finding myself in these roles. When did you really start to invest yourself in it in that way?
I guess I started trying to invest myself after Juilliard. I had to make a decision whether I was going to try to find work or not. And so I started looking for work and not getting it, which is awesome. That's a good time. And then when I got to LA and started slowly getting work, I guess I've been so humbled by the process of trying to get work that any job at all seemed kind of miraculous and extremely encouraging. I think my first role, I had like 2 lines on a show called Jag.
Oh man.
And they were, sup, and how's it going, Vic? And the world could not get any brighter as far as I was concerned. I was very, very happy to be doing that.
So is your IMDb credit for that Jag episode, is it Sup Guy #1 or?
I think it was boyfriend.
Boyfriend?
I think it was someone's boyfriend.
It's a very diverse role.
Yeah. You can play that role in a lot of different shows. So I was boyfriend.
Right, okay.
And you could be like nice boyfriend, abusive boyfriend, ex-boyfriend. There's a lot of shades of boyfriend.
Right, especially if you want to go, the lifetime route.
Sure.
That's, that's half of what's on there.
Yeah.
So,
Although at this older age, it's usually like husband now.
That is true. That is
Fiance,
true.
yeah.
So, arguably, your first real big break was playing Crashdown in Battlestar Galactica. And now that you've kind of had some distance from that, it's been a while since the show ended, controversially, depending on who you ask. Fans had quite the reaction to how everything ended there. But now that you've had a little bit of distance from playing that character and being on that show, what are your thoughts on that character and his fate? I mean, what do you have you considered him at all? I mean, do you find yourself thinking back to old roles like that?
No, no.
There's no wrong answer here, folks. I don't have a trap door.
I think about it insofar as I was glad that I did it. I think about it insofar as I was glad that it ended up well, because the thing with that role was they swindled me into it.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. So
go on.
What happened was
if you can, I don't know if there's like an NDA.
Sure, no.
A swindle NDA.
No, past a few years, you sell everyone up the river. You know what I mean? Like, if there's a
point,
bus,
it is Hollywood.
Yeah, you wait about 2 years, then you throw people under the bus.
Okay.
You don't do it immediately. No, basically what it was is I saw the miniseries for Battlestar Galactica and fell in love with it. I thought it was one of the best things I'd ever seen. So I contacted my agent. I said, "Hey, call them up and tell them I want to be on Battlestar Galactica." And I'm thinking, a guest shot, one episode, right? Because I just wanted to go, contribute, and leave.
Some kind of red shirt type role or something.
Sure. But something where, where I was allowed to do something and then leave. And they came back with an audition for a series regular role, which is like, in theory, a main character of the show. And I'm like, whoa, okay. There wasn't
your name in the credits, the whole nine yards.
all that stuff. And I wasn't thinking that was even a possibility. So I went in, auditioned, and then it sort of went away after the audition. And for 3 months, we're not really hearing anything. And then one day I'm on the set of some other show and they're like, Battlestar Galactica wants to hire you. They want you to fly out tomorrow. And I'm like, they've had 3 months to decide. And I'm like, so what's the role? And they're like, they said it's a big role and they have plans for him. I'm like, oh, they have plans for him. Cool. Okay, cool. So I moved to Vancouver the next day.
Right.
And then I get there and I'm shooting and I'm not doing much of it, but like an episode goes by and I don't really do much. Another episode goes by and I don't really do much. And another episode goes by and I'm like, hey Steve, and that's it. and then finally I'm talking to the producer. I'm like, so what is this role? And he's like, well, it's not like he's a big role and it's not like we have plans for him. And I'm like,
this is literally the opposite of what I was told.
Yes, someone lied to me.
Boyfriend had more substance than this guy.
Basically, someone lied to me to get me to sign on this dotted line to be on that show. So here I was on this show that I loved. I thought Battlestar was amazing. The people were so nice. Everyone was so cool. It was so well written. But I wasn't like allowed to be on it. I would like sort of walk by in the background and be like, hey, and that's it. So I made my displeasure known to David Icke and Ron Moore. And I said, listen, you're paying me too much for me to sit around and do nothing. I was getting paid more than some of the people you saw all the time on that show.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know how that works. So I was like, you're paying me too much to sit around and do nothing.
Contract ninjas, obviously.
Contract ninjas, yes, I faked my martial arts. And so I said, listen, why don't you kill the character and then use the money to buy more explosions? And on Battlestar,
which is probably the first time anyone has ever said that.
Well, that's the thing. The cool thing is on Battlestar, since everyone dies, spoiler alert, the moment an actor says...
statute of limitations is passed on.
Yeah, the moment that someone says, you can kill my character, they go, really? Really? You don't mind? I'm like, yeah, go ahead. They're like, cool. And they said...
now we have plans for you.
And they felt... Now, here's the thing. They felt bad for me having... So they understood that I was kind of misled by someone.
Right.
It wasn't anyone in the production. It was probably someone over at Sci-Fi. Mm-hmm. Never work for those guys again. Being human. But someone misled me, and they felt really bad about that. So they're like, listen, we're going to give you a glorious death. And I'm thinking, yeah, sure, whatever. And I'm just thinking, nothing I've been told about this show has ever come true. So I'm like, I'm not going to count on it. And then in season 2. They wrote a bunch of great stuff for me. So I actually got to do the thing that I wanted to do originally. I got to go, do something, and then leave.
Right. And
they actually gave me something to do, which I was, at that point, very grateful. I'm like, you guys didn't have to do that. And they're like, we wanted to. And I'm like, this is great. And then apparently were happy with me because they liked what I did with the stuff, because I could have done it bad. Like, they weren't really aware of my work. I could have done it. Oh, the kid can't act. It turns out he can't act. That's why we weren't giving him anything to do.
Yeah, the kid stays in the picture.
But the good news is, because it ended so well, because they gave me such great stuff to die on,
right.
Then I could go right back to being a fan. So I just watched every episode from then on, and I was a huge fan of the show. Which people were like, oh, you're a fan because you were on it. I'm like, no, that would make me not want to be a fan. I'm a fan because I think the show is great.
Right.
So, but I was very happy to end the way that we did. I was happy to be Baltar's first murder. That's cool.
It's an honor.
It's a huge honor.
It's monumental.
And
all it took was for you to practically beg for them to kill you.
Basically, and the cool thing is that those producers and those writers, I bump into them. We go to dinner. Like, everyone is very much friendly. So,
still a community.
Yeah. I mean, that was a very special show. Everyone knew it. Everyone knew how special that show was.
So, kind of, being a fan then, I guess, having been on both sides of that divide, what are your thoughts on the ending and how they decided to wrap everything up? Because I remember when it came out, it's like, this was right when TV was just starting to kind of, rev back up into its golden age. Everybody wants to do TV now. TV shows are just a huge thing. And this, I feel like, was a big part of kind of pushing the medium back to that direction. It was the first time that I really remember, people being outraged in this way, that they ended things a certain way. They just didn't like it. Or am I misreading that? I mean, that's just kind of how it seemed among me and my friends. What were your thoughts on it?
Here's the thing. I don't know that I loved it, but I liked it.
Yeah.
I liked it. There was enough good stuff there at the end that I was like, even when this show is bad, it's still fantastic.
Right.
It's still really well acted, really well shot. Like, there's incredible moments.
The people making it were actually invested.
Oh God, yes, yeah. I mean, at that show, I've never seen a show run like that before or since, where you arrive on set, and the first thing that this producer says to me is, he goes, "Hey, shoot one take as written, as the script says, and then just say whatever you want after that." I was like, "What?" He's like, "Yeah, ad-lib." "What?" He's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "But you have green screen?" Unheard of. I've never, ever had a producer say, "Yeah, just make stuff up."
Well, especially, I mean, you expect to hear that on like a comedy show.
Sure.
Or something, or like
but not on a show with a lot of special effects,
right?
And all this crazy stuff. And the reason they wanted people to ad-lib on that show is they wanted the performances to seem unusual, to seem unpredictable, to seem spontaneous. And I never before or since has anyone ever said that to me. In fact, and because of Battlestar, I've ad-libbed on like every set I've ever been on since then. And all they ever say then is, they're like, "You're doing great, doing great. Could you say what's on the script, please? Can you say the lines?" And I was like, "Sure." And then say
I could.
In theory, anyone could.
Right.
So Battlestar made me hard to work with.
Sam Witwer Diva, you heard it here first. That'll be chapter 3, and Sam Witwer, I accidentally Juilliard.
That's good, I like that.
I demand a percentage once you actually write it.
That's perfect, no problem.
So let's talk about Star Wars for a little bit, since I know a lot of the kids out here probably are familiar with you from there. You are in a very unique position with your involvement with Star Wars, in that you had the chance to both define an original character, which people rarely get to do within the Star Wars canon like that, and you also had the chance to give some extra definition to an already existing character. Talk about your involvement in helping to craft those characters. Starting with
The Force Unleashed.
Right. Yeah. Which actually, I guess, is be a good time to ask. What do you call him? Do you call him Galen? Do you call him Star Killer? Do you call him the Apprentice?
I guess I call him.
How do you refer to him?
Well, here I'll tell you something that no one knows. I guess I call him Star Killer, but in the script, his name was Jacob.
Really?
Yeah. And then we decided that it was probably better not to call him anything and just have him be like the sort of unnamed gunslinger type guy. And then
that's really cool.
In the novelization, the guy that wrote the novel named him Galen. So I was like, all right, well, I guess he's that. Although, to me, he's kind of Jacob.
Yeah.
Because there was a scene where someone referred to him as Jacob.
That's really cool.
In the script, yeah. But it was terrifying. What's terrifying about, like, anytime you create a Star Wars protagonist, you're opening yourself up to people hating you. So what
really?
was
Hating you?
Well, yeah. I mean, look, science fiction fans and Star Wars fans in particular are very, very passionate.
Sure.
So they're not shy about what they don't like.
Right. As nerds are wont to do.
That's right. But if they like what you do, they will never forget whatever that is. And thankfully, for Force Unleashed, we got away with it. So I don't know. I mean, like, there hasn't been a week that's gone by where someone hasn't asked me about that project since it came out.
Really?
8 years ago. So
wow, that's
crazy.
Which, I mean, you expect that out of a movie or a TV show. It's not something that you really expect out of a video game.
No. But I think what totally benefited me was the fact that they made the character look like me. That was that planned? Did they? That was the plan. The plan was that they were going to market it like a movie. They were going to treat it like a movie. They were going to do tie-ins like a movie, toys, all that stuff. And all of the actors that were hired, they used the actors' likenesses for the characters in the game. So they scanned us all at Industrial Light and Magic, and it was cool. So meeting the artists who created these characters, because this chick named Amy Beth Christensen, who's this amazing artist over at Lucasfilm, and she's still at Lucasfilm. She painted an image. When they were trying to figure out who this character is going to be, she painted this guy with this buzz cut, and my buddy who worked at Lucasfilm saw the painting at the meeting where they unveiled it, and goes, oh my God, that looks like Sam. Because at the time I had a buzz cut, I looked very much like the painting. So when my headshot got in the pile, they were like, well, this guy looks already just like the character, and then they ended up auditioning me, putting me through a grueling audition process. Because I think it was kind of like, well, could it be this easy type thing?
Yeah.
And so for 45 minutes, I was doing Star Wars scenes. That's totally unheard of for an audition. You will go in, you say, hi, I'm Sam, oh my God, and you act for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then you talk a little bit and you leave. This was acting for 45 minutes, so I left like feeling like I just performed a play. It was very tiring.
So why was it so in-depth? Why was it so different? Were they just...
Because they were afraid that they'd get it wrong. They were afraid they're going to hire the wrong guy. That's really it. I mean, because I said to them, like, you could do this character in like 50 different ways. And they're like, well, then do that. I'm like, do what? They're like, do it 50 different ways. I'm like, all right, how much time do you have? All right, let's do it. And so I did like a Luke Skywalker read, or sort of a more cynical read, or all kinds of different reads on the character. And
because he really was kind of a blank slate. I mean,
he was a completely blank slate. They had no personality sort of locked down for this character just yet. They knew the circumstances, they knew the story, but they didn't know quite what he was going to be like yet. So yeah, that was when they hired me, they used my audition tape to help write the dialogue, to be like, okay, well, we're going to bring in a little bit of that cynicism. Here we're going to bring in the innocence. Here we're going to... So when we were shooting it, which it was an on-camera shoot, we had cameras everywhere, and they had me all dotted up.
All the mocap
stuff. And yeah, it was a lot of work to try to narrow down who that character was.
Right. So I'm assuming you were already a Star Wars fan.
Big time, huge.
So what was that like? I mean, again, you just kind of have this very fortunate experience of as a fan being thrown into these things.
Yeah.
So what was that? I can't even imagine how I would have handled. Hey, you're a huge Star Wars fan. Now you get to play this original character, this really cool, behind the scenes kind of guy. Describe that experience a little bit. What was it like seeing behind the curtain?
Do you remember, everyone's gotten like a song stuck in their head, and that's sometimes an annoying process. You're like, oh, Lady Gaga, damn it, get out, that type of thing.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
It's Milli Vanilli. This was, here, so you get the call, hey, so they're hiring you for Star Wars Force Unleashed. Cool. And then your head just goes, and I heard Star Wars music in my head for 2 weeks straight. And instead of
Everywhere you look, it's just a star field with the Star Wars. You start reading your books like this.
Yeah, exactly. It was all Star Wars all the time. And instead of being bothered by that, I thought it was awesome. Because it made everything way more exciting.
Yeah.
You know? You're like, I mean, that's the most exciting drink of water I've ever had.
That's epic, man.
John Williams was
We have that on
scoring
camera.
my
That's the best water bottle.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
You know, or trouble with your girlfriend. Oh, she's calling.
I love you, I know.
I know. It was great. So I was treated to a whole John Williams soundtrack in my head for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And yeah, I was going nuts. I was very happy about it.
So are you kind of disappointed? I mean, now that Lucasfilm has been bought by Disney, all of the extended universe stuff is kind of, oh, we're just going to keep it in this pocket over here. It doesn't really count. Is that,
that's kind of what you think, isn't that? That's what you think, isn't it?
That's what they tell. That's what they tell us plebeians. When, us who aren't on the inside.
They're doing the same thing they always did. They're just calling it something different. Because when Clone Wars
it's like
happened,
Star Wars Legends now or something like that.
Yeah, but they didn't just. It's the same thing as it's always been. When George Lucas was working on Clone Wars, which that was his show. It's not widely known, but he was there every week. And
really?
Those were all his stories.
Oh, wow.
So the Clone Wars is the last George Lucas produced Star Wars.
I had no idea.
Oh, dude, yeah, that was George's thing. He loved that show. And so, George...
Which is ironic, because a lot of people, they hate the prequels, but oh, Clone Wars, it gets so good, because George Lucas didn't do it.
So that was George.
That is actually delicious to find that out.
And I don't know why it isn't more widely publicized. Maybe George wanted the team to get the credit for it, which they deserve.
Right, like Dave Filoni is often credited as being kind of the driving force.
When Clone Wars finally got the Emmy stuff, George was there accepting the Emmy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, when I got an Emmy nomination for Darth Maul, George wrote me a letter saying congratulations for the Emmy nomination. So George was there. George would be like, he would give guidelines of what he wanted from Darth Maul, what he wanted from stuff, stuff like that. And then it was our job to figure out the specifics. Mm-hmm. But the thing that George always did, which is no different than what they're doing now, is he would look at the comic books, or he would glance through this, or he'd say, I need a bunch of witches or something. And they're like, what about these Night Sisters of Dathomir? No, yeah, right there. Use that design. That's good. I like that. And that was it. Like he would.
How long have you been working on that impression?
For several years, and now I can do it whatever I want because he doesn't own the company anymore.
Yeah. No making fun of the boss when the company died.
No, I did it before anyway. But he always did that. He always was like there were Asajj Ventress is a character that showed up in comic books before she ever showed up in Clone Wars. And George liked the character, so he brought her into Clone Wars. He did that all the time. And so they're still doing that. They're still looking, because again, it's like the idea was always that if it was in the TV show or the movies, then it was George's version of the universe.
Right.
And everything else was something else, and it was okay that it was something else. But he often would pick and choose stuff that he thought was really cool over there and bring it in and maybe put his own stamp on it or his own spin. Or like the Mandalorians are a little bit different.
Right.
But Death Watch and what ends up happening to them are very much like the Mandalorians from the novels and stuff. So they're doing the same thing now.
Okay.
I mean, you guys are going to see a lot of stuff that you think, oh, that's not real. But like, sure it is. It's a little bit different, but maybe this character shows up or that situation shows up. So they're doing a lot of it.
So what you're saying is there's a chance that we could see Starkiller show up at someone.
Well, I
wouldn't go that far.
There's always a chance of anything. I mean,
right.
The thing is his story is so self-contained, and we on purpose did his story so that it happened in back rooms and it happened in secret.
Right.
He is the secret apprentice, so it never demanded that it be in anything else.
Right.
But I mean, I know people who thought, oh, he might show up here, he might show up there. I mean, there's been talk here and there, but I don't know. I mean, I think now that there's a Starkiller base, maybe they don't really get confused.
Right.
But if you Google Starkiller, the base doesn't show up. I do. So
you're bigger than a planet, man.
That's right.
Well, so talk a little bit about touching on Darth Maul for a little bit. You coming into that character you know, he was never really fully defined, at least in terms of episode 1, and a lot of people kind of thought, oh, why didn't they just kind of keep him on a little bit, have him, you know, recurring, you know, so you get the chance to kind of have that sort of, that fan wish granted. Oh, okay, we get to see some more of him, we get to see what he's actually all about. So talk about having the chance to define Darth Maul in your own way, sort of.
That was just as scary as doing Starkiller. And it's because Darth Maul already had a fan base.
Right.
So if I come in and he sounds like this, then everyone's gonna really hate me. Because they're like, oh, I love the character and now he's ruined.
Right.
So it was like, you know, the first thing was he had like 2 lines in Phantom Menace. He had, what was it?
At last
we'll reveal ourselves to the Jedi. At last we'll have revenge. You know, that whole thing.
Right. You do it way better than I can.
Yes, my master. He had that. And because my Darth Maul had been through a lot since then, he'd been cut in half and been eating.
He kind of went to pieces.
He went to pieces. I figured
that's what they pay me for, folks.
You know, the Darth Maul that was in the movie is the Darth Maul when everything was going right, and now 10 years later, he's not that guy anymore. So I started with that voice, and then kind of built off and went in my own direction. And it's been fun. I mean, I remember when Filoni, because we first worked together, he called me in to do a character called the Son of Mortis, who was a character who shows up in 3 episodes of the Clone Wars, and there's a daughter, and there's a father, and there's a son, and the daughter is the good side of the Force, the father is the balance to the Force, and the son is the dark side of the Force. So Dave Filoni calls me in to play the dark side of the Force, and I think I was such a Star Wars geek, and I guess I did things the way he liked it, to the point where he was like, you know, I have a question for you. I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, what do you think about this whole Darth Maul thing, you know, because it was just revealed that maybe he survived.
Right.
What do you think about him having survived? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know about that, Dave. And he's like, oh, I might have something for you in a year or so. And I'm like, like a bounty hunter? He's like, yeah, no. And so I wasn't even listening to what he was telling me, plainly, that he was thinking about me for this. And then one day, a year later, he calls me up. He's like, so I need Darth Maul. Can you do it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, great idea. You know? So a year ago, I'm like, yeah, I don't know about him surviving. A year later, he's like, you want to play him? I'm like, yeah, sure, of course, yeah. He's, yeah, okay. So then it was just trying to figure out what the character was going to be, and that was challenging and fun and terrifying. And again, it was a character that was very well established by Ray Park, with Peter Serafinowicz providing the voice. And so I just didn't want to blow it. That was it.
So it's interesting, you know, you went from, what was kind of the turning point between going from, you know, kind of the fan side, oh, I don't know if it's a good idea to bring him back, you know, to, yes, absolutely. I mean, what, did they have to actually convince you at all? I mean, with what they told you, or?
Here's the rule. Now, and you can justify, okay, I'll give you the Star Wars justification first. The Star Wars justification is this. Revenge of the Sith. Anakin gets his arms and legs chopped off and he gets burned.
Right.
And if you were to do the lightsaber duel and finally at the end, Anakin lights himself on fire and then you roll credits, you'd be like, wow, he's dead.
Right.
And then if in the next movie he shows up as Darth Vader, you'd be like, oh, come on, that doesn't make any sense. But because we knew that that the dark side allows you to survive things like that, we accepted. And because we knew Anakin was meant to be Darth Vader, we accepted. So we were taking the same theory on Darth Maul, the idea that the dark side of the Force alone is keeping this guy alive.
Right.
But it's also driven him quite mad. That whole idea was
more
what we were
mad
going.
than he already was.
Exactly, and like for example, that spider body, that, you know, that if you look closely, and here's something people don't really maybe understand. If you look closely at the spider limbs, pieces of the spider limb are floating off the surface. Like there are pieces that are free floating, and the idea was that George had is this isn't a robot. This is pieces of garbage that have stuck to him over the years. And over the years, as more garbage has stuck to him, the dark side started forming the garbage in these giant legs that he would use to get around on. So that is all a manifestation of the dark side of the Force, which I was like, that's cool.
Yeah, I gotta admit that works.
But the biggest justification for doing Darth Maul like that is like if you can come up with a cool story. It's the search for Spock rule.
Right.
That it's like, okay, you kill Spock in Star Trek 2, but if you get enough incredible stuff that comes after, while you really need that Spock character,
right,
we're going to accept that you're bringing him back if you do it in a cool enough way. And if there's a cost, if there's a real price to be paid for that character having been hurt or destroyed. And Darth Maul's cost was huge. You know, he'd lost his mind, he'd lost his body, he'd lost a lot of his connection with the Force. He'd really fallen quite far.
Well, so kind of on that note, let's zoom out a little bit. You know, just over the course of your career, you know, playing, you know, Starkiller, playing Davis Bloom on Smallville, playing Darth Maul. You know, a lot of these are characters that have, you know, that have been broken, that have been used by broken both, you know, emotionally and physically, and used by other people. You know, what is it about characters like that resonate with you?
I think it's just you have to be able to go there a little bit. I mean, I think what people are looking for when it comes to those characters that have a darker edge is that there's something very seriously wrong, and something very seriously has happened to this person. And I guess people don't quite know how to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember talking to, this is just my guess. I mean, I remember talking to Anna Fricke, and I didn't know how to feel about this. She's like, Anna Fricke is the showrunner for Being Human. And apparently they had auditioned like hundreds of guys for the part of Aiden before they'd even thought to have me come in and audition. And she said, well, it kind of had to be you. And I'm like, okay, well, why? Because I'm pale? Or is it suck in my cheekbones? I'm like, why?
You have amazing bone structure, that's why.
Why did it have to be me? And she goes, because you were the only one that we believed had killed people and felt bad about it. I'm like, whoa, okay. All right, thanks.
There's something to put on the resume.
But then she's explained, she's like, remember that line in the audition, I'm not back, Bishop? There's this part where in the audition scene, I'm talking to Bishop, and Bishop's like, welcome back, Aiden. I'm like, I'm not back, Bishop. And she's like, Sam, we just got a whole bunch of these guys coming in and going, I'm not back, Bishop. I'm not back, Bishop. I'm not back, Bishop. You know, just like, whoa. Yeah, exactly. Just like, no bottom to it. No stakes, no nothing, no history, no
heft to it.
No heft, yeah. And she says, she's like, you very simply said, I'm not back, Bishop, in a way that made us believe that you were trying to get away from some really bad stuff. And I'm like, all right, okay, great. So you just called me a murderer, but that's cool. So yeah.
So, you know, where do you kind of pull that from? You know, where do you kind of find the humanity, I guess, in those characters who
it's just
have fallen that far?
It's like an imagination exercise. Mm-hmm. You know, you just have to really imagine. I guess because I've had a pretty good life. I can't say that I've had I've had some rough times, sure, but I can't say that I've had awful things happen to me.
Right.
But I've had dreams where awful things happen. And I think those dreams maybe informed how I approach this stuff, because it's like, I'll have dreams where maybe I did hurt someone or kill someone or something like that, and the guilt and living in that dream it's a nightmare. That dream is a nightmare. But it's, so, I guess, you know, I just tried to, with the Davis Bloom or the Aiden character, I wanted to bring a sense of like a living nightmare, which is what those people were living.
Yeah.
So, but the cool thing about Aiden is he got to be funny too.
Right.
So thank God. It wasn't just all a living nightmare. He eventually got to break through a wall and go, oh yeah.
All right, well, do you have anything else coming up? Any new projects that you're working on? Any new video games that you're voicing or anything like that?
Yeah. In like a week and a half, we're announcing a video game, but I can't talk about it until we announce it.
Coming out of E3?
E3.
Really?
They're showing a game that is another one where it's not Star Wars, sadly. But it's another one where they use my face and I do all the mocap, and the technology has come a long way.
It really has.
Yeah. So the video game I've been working on for like a year and a half. There's a movie called Officer Down that's coming out real soon.
I have seen clips of that. It looks insane.
It looks insane.
It's directed by one of the Slipknot guys, right?
Yeah, Sean from Slipknot.
And produced by one half of the Crank team.
Mark Neveldine,
Yeah.
So
I love those movies. Are insane. I love
Crank 2 is one of my favorite movies on the planet. If you guys have ever seen Crank, it's good. Crank 2.
Not child appropriate.
Yeah, right. Don't show
At all.
Don't show your kids that. But Crank 2 is amazing. So Officer Down's coming out. I got more Star Wars stuff coming with voice stuff and some other things. Some more Darth Maul coming up real soon. And then Once Upon a Time, we're shooting a bunch of that.
And who do you play in Once Upon a Time?
Mr. Hyde. I play Mr. Hyde, and he kind of talks like this. I don't know. It is a weird thing. Mr. Hyde is a really interesting, weird character.
Very cool. So who's playing Dr. Jekyll? Or is there a Dr. Jekyll?
A guy named Hank Harris.
Okay.
Plays Dr. Jekyll, and I'm Mr. Hyde.
Very cool.
So yeah.
So are you playing it? I have to ask this. Everyone I know that is into video games is playing Overwatch right now. Are you playing Overwatch?
Negative. No,
Oh, man.
No, I'm playing.
Dude, you got to get on the Overwatch train.
What am I playing? I'm playing. I'm playing some Doom.
I just finished the new Doom.
That's
I love
good.
it. Did you like it?
Yeah.
I was really surprised about it. I mean, I've played Doom since the original.
Yep.
This feels like old school Doom.
Totally feels like it. The design is completely old school.
Yeah.
So that's awesome.
Very cool.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we have time to take a couple questions from the audience.
Sure.
All right. Anybody have any questions? Yes, ma'am.
The BBC cast. Did we ever interact with the BBC cast?
For being human.
We met one of them. The guy that was the werewolf from season 3 and 4. We met him at San Diego Comic-Con. Other than that, no. I've had emails with Toby Woodhouse, the guy that created the British series. And I think one of my proudest moments was when he emailed me and after we were done with Being Human, and he emailed me and said that he thought we got it right. So that made me feel really good, because I think he's brilliant. I love the British series.
Very cool. Yes.
What's that? Online video games?
What?
Or
I think it was just what kind.
All kinds. I'm the Thief series, although the most recent one wasn't great.
Play Dishonored if you haven't. That plays.
Love Dishonored.
Dude, that game is
Skyrim, the entire Elder Scrolls series. I go all the way back to Arena, which is the first one.
Wow.
I think like in 1994.
That's some dedication.
Yeah. Yeah. What's that? Yeah.
Or an arrow to the knee. No arrows to the knee.
The Hitman series is really like some sick fun.
It's amazing the kind of creativity that you have to do those well.
It makes you question yourself.
It really does. But hey, you're a killer, so I mean,
right. This is why I got the role.
Right.
What else? There's too many to name. Space Invaders.
As you
Pong.
do. Right.
Pac-Man. Miss Pac-Man.
This Pac-Man is dope.
What? I'm trying to think. I know I'm missing some really big ones. FTL, which is a really good one for.
Oh man, that thing is addictive.
If you guys haven't picked up FTL for like your iPad.
Faster than light.
Faster than
light. You
light.
have to make sure your ship doesn't blow up.
That game is amazing. I play Battlefront, in which I voiced the Emperor, so that was cool. That's terrible, because Battlefront, you're getting shot, and then you can hear the Emperor mumbling to himself, and it's just like having myself come and hunt me down.
I was going to say, is there like kind of a weird sort of dissonance? Like, am I going crazy? Am I just hearing myself?
Excellent. Yeah.
Which I have to compliment you on this. When I first heard Palpatine in The Force Unleashed, I was like, that has to be your endearment. I was shocked when I found out that it wasn't him doing that you were providing that voice.
That was the first time that I'd done Palpatine, and that was because I just loved that character and I really wanted to do him. So I swindled my way into a second job on there.
More ninja
So
content.
I did it for fun with my friends. I'm like, the emperor kind of talks like this. And I thought, well, if I really work on it, maybe I could get it good. And somehow talked the guy into letting me do it. And then he let me do it. And the deal was that we would not publicize it too much. Like, we're like, we don't have to tell anyone. Now we tell everyone, but back then it's like, well, you know, we'll say that I'm starting to let it stand on its own, let them believe it is whoever they want to be.
Right.
And then since then, I've been the emperor for all of the Lucasfilm games, and now for Rebels, I'm the emperor.
Oh wow!
So I'm trying to take that guy's job. But there was a great line in The Force Unleashed because the whole key to the emperor is that he has a sense of humor. You know, like everyone thinks.
Which isn't immediately obvious.
It's not immediately obvious because he's so evil. But the thing is that without that sense of humor, it doesn't sound like the emperor.
Right.
If you don't have a sense of humor, it's just a guy who talks like this. You know,
he's actually kind of smarmy.
You have to, yeah. I'm afraid the deflector shield will be quite operational when your friends arrive. You know,
he knows he's at the top of the mountain.
Yeah.
He lets everybody else know it.
You want this, don't you? I mean, he's hilarious. You know.
Right.
So there was this, in Force Unleashed, there was a line that he had that I thought, if I do this right, it'll get a laugh. And thankfully it did. Like, we had a whole audience and we were showing the scene and it got a laugh. And it was the Emperor. He had all of his enemies in front of him. They were everyone he's been trying to capture, kill, he had them all in front of him. So it was a very good day.
Yeah.
And the Emperor says, "You are all traitors to the Empire. You will be interrogated, tortured. You will give me the names of your friends and your allies. And then you will die." and I was like, that's funny. He's having a good time with these guys.
That's pretty great.
So.
Any other questions? Anyone else?
How did you end up being a zombie in the tank on The Walking Dead?
Hold on, we got two questions at the same time.
Oh, her first down in front.
How did you end up being the zombie in the tank on The Walking Dead?
How did I end up being the zombie in the tank?
Well, you had already known Frank Darabont, right? From doing The Mist?
Worked with Frank in The Mist and we became friends, and he wanted me to play Shane on Walking Dead, but I wasn't available. So he wanted to get me in there some way, and he came up with this idea that there could be, in season 2, he wanted to do like a prequel episode where it shows the fall of Atlanta and how everything fell apart. And so he's like, be the tank zombie, and that tank zombie, we'll do a prequel where that guy's the main character, and we'll go through the whole episode, and then by the end of the episode he'll be bit, and then we'll reshoot the tank scene, but from your perspective as a zombie. That was the idea. And the idea was it was going to be a surprise too, so we tried to make me look enough like me where it was worth it that I was there,
right.
But not enough like me to where people would know right away, because they were going to, you know, when they did the prequel, they weren't going to tell anyone anything. They were just going to have a bunch of, it was going to be like Black Hawk Down meets zombies, and it was going to be following my character around, and then he was going to die.
Very cool.
That was the idea. And then Frank got ejected from the show, so that never happened.
What's got to be your worst moment in your professional acting career, and how did it impact you?
What was the worst moment? Oh my God, I don't know. I mean,
this is now PTSD, the Q&A.
Okay, I think the worst moment was when I injured a casting director. Ooh, during an audition. That's probably the worst.
Audition went that bad, huh?
Okay. Neveldine,
right?
You know the guy from Crank?
Mark Neveldine.
Yeah, Officer Down. He calls me in to audition for a show or a movie that he's producing. And in this scene, the character is drunk and high on every, like as the script says, he's high on every drug imaginable and he's drunk. And he has this monologue where he just kind of loses his mind, right? And I'm sitting there with Mark in the back and this German director, and there's this whole thing where I launch into this monologue and I really go for it. I lose my mind. I lose it. And I do it in front of everyone, and the casting director's reading with me. And then after that, after I do that once, and I really felt like I went for it, the director goes, okay, let's try something different. This time I want you to really just go crazy. Just go for it, go crazy. lose their mind for us. And I'm like, all right, I thought I just did that. Okay, here we go. So I endeavor to go, yes, exactly. I'm cranking it up to 11, and I'm endeavoring to go even further than I went before. And at one point, I'm stalking around the room doing the monologue, and there was a chair in my way. So I tossed the chair out of my way. I wasn't even thinking, because he asked me to go crazy. So I throw the chair out of my way, and I watch out of the corner of my eyes, the chair tumbles over, hits this table, deflects off, and strikes the casting director in the knee. And I see her go. But then she continues the scene, and I'm like, okay. And then I get in her face, and we do the whole scene, and we finish it. And as soon as we finish the scene, the casting director goes, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And then eventually, like, it was just this nightmare. And I just look in the back, and Mark, my friend, is going. And so so I leave the room, and I call my manager right away. I'm like, something very bad has happened. And so I went, I got flowers, and I got aspirin, and I came back and found that woman in her office, and I'm like, here and here. And I got a call from Mark later, and he goes, okay, listen, man. The bad news is you injured the casting director. The good news is you did a really good job. It's like, apparently, and I'm like, how do you know that? He's like, because the casting director said so. She's like, you left the room, and she was holding her knee, and she goes, at least he was really good. Oh, God.
Did you get the part?
No, but they keep saying that I came really close. So I don't know. Maybe I should have injured more people. I don't know.
Pro tip for anyone, injure more people and you can maybe get a role.
I can't.
No.
I can't tell you how bad a day that was. It was. It was awful. It was awful.
Well, I can think of no better way to end this. We've actually run out of time. That will be Chapter 5 in Sam Witwer, I Accidentally Juilliard, in stores coming December 2017. For real though, Sam, thank you so much for doing this. It's been a pleasure. Hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you all for coming out. Be sure to visit him at his stage.